everybody. I'm back again. My name's Ronnie Mickle. I'm the original owner and founder of Notary Stars, and I'm so happy to present to you today Tim Wilshire, who is out of Reno, Nevada. He's also a remote online notary, and he recently passed our Certified Notary Signing Professional exam. And I wanted to just take this moment to get to know Tim so that when you're looking at his profile, you would understand why you should hire him. So, Tim, welcome today, and let's get started. Why don't we start with why you even decided to become a notary in the first place?
Well, Ronnie, in 21, I was finishing a career in the catering business and decided I was going to get my notary public commission in Nevada, not really realizing the different opportunities that were available. And about then, another opportunity appeared that I took for 2 years. So I really started focusing in 2024 on notary public business and the loan signing. And I connected with Notary to Pro, finished their course, and in watching one of the videos, they introduced me to Notary Stars. So I joined Notary Stars as a non-paying member for a couple of weeks, jumped right away into the full paying, and took the opportunity on a Black Friday to become a full member. So that's been my guide. I do this primarily. I've always been in the service business. I grew up in the restaurant business, catering business. I've been a certified public accountant, financial planner. So I'm used to providing services. So the notary public business is really right up my alley for providing services to people.
All right. Well, you mentioned one thing. I want to go back and to make sure that we do not forget this. You mentioned one thing is you originally started out with Notary to Pro. And we here at Notary Stars have so much respect. I even have chills saying it for Notary to Pro. For anybody watching, Notary to Pro is what I call the perfect foundation for any signing agent. God rest Miss Carol's soul, who started that course, but we're trying to keep it alive. I still believe that there's so much, I always say there was something special in the Kool-Aid over at Carol's course, because she really lays the perfect foundation, and I wouldn't be where I'm at today without Carol Ray. So I'm glad that you started there. People who start at Notary Stars, we always try to point them to the direction of also going to Notary to Pro and others as well, like Notary Academy and Coach Me Laura. I mean, there's a lot of wonderful trainers out there, and I'm so glad to see that you're spending so much time in education. Coming from a service background myself, it sounds like one of the things that you wanted to do is continue to help people in a way that, I think once you are a service industry type person, you kind of never, it's like in your blood, so to speak. You just want to help people all the time. Now, one thing that I want to ask you is you mentioned that there was so much that you didn't know was a part of the notary industry. What was it that you found out, about the notary industry that kind of, if so to speak, blew your mind? What did you find out that you didn't know was there once you got your stamp?
Well, when I got my stamp, I really didn't have a plan. And so obviously the first thing that became apparent was loan signing opportunities. And I'm married to an escrow assistant in a very busy unit. And so I was able to talk with them and found out just how much opportunity there was for that. So I started following the program of signing up for different signing services. The business opportunities started coming in. And then, of course, when you hang around Notary Stars, all of a sudden you start hearing things like field inspector or photo inspections and different opportunities that are out there. So that, I would say, pretty much loan signing business was what really opened my eyes to the opportunities. And that's pretty much where I focus my efforts. As I am trying to transition into a remote online notary, I'd like to be doing that 90% within 2 years.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to see that you are transitioning as a remote online notary. I know that you're in my marketing class as well, and we definitely have the ability to make that reach, nationwide or worldwide. But I also know that you also have an interest in document translations, and just so happens this week that you're doing your first apostille. Is it correct with me?
That's
We're
right.
in the middle of doing that right now. And I have to say, just for the sake of people looking in that might be interested in hiring you, I know I've worked with you. I believe Unlimited Ink has worked with you on loan signings.
Right.
We're at that level where I can't remember everybody who's ever done one. But I know that I'm personally working with you on an apostille right now, and it's actually been really wonderful to work with you. Are you currently taking any training for apostille?
Well, I've taken the John Nelson
Mhm.
course. I'm a member of their Facebook group. So I'm kind of in constant contact with Donna McGee Christie.
Mhm.
She's kind of like my
Love her.
mentor on that side. And so that training I've taken. And of course, I have books sitting on my shelf that have been advertised for that from Judy and Donna and then Bill Soroka. So I have continuing education that I do here, and there's plenty of opportunities online to learn.
Absolutely. I'm very happy. And, I want to tell anybody that might be interested in working with you, my team at Unlimited Ink Notary, I built a wonderful team to work with. I've never heard any escalation on you whatsoever. So that's always a great thing. I do know that you are very much a part of the community because I do see the reports of people attending classes and things like that. So I do appreciate your dedication. But when it comes to apostille, one of the things that I will tell you is, reaching out and working with notaries all over the country, there has been some friction of people saying, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I want to do it. You really, like, from the first order, like, you were like, okay, this is the game plan. You actually reviewed the game plan, and I have the text messages where you reviewed it again. Like, I just want to make sure we do this correctly. You had it all down. I've actually had a wonderful experience working with you, getting this first apostille off the ground. And I have to say, anybody that might be searching for an apostille, definitely, from your candor with helping me as a company that does them all the time, your candor on your very first order has been absolutely perfect. If everyone could operate that way, when it comes to facilitating an apostille, you would be a perfect example model from day one. So I hope anybody that's looking for an apostille will give you the trust. Doesn't matter if somebody is on their first day or next day. And what I want to say for people watching is, even though this is your first order at Notary Stars, you always have us, you always have John Nelson to fall back on. Just because someone's building a business doesn't mean that you can't trust them, especially when they've invested in education, which, I can say that I'm very proud of you for. Now, I do know, and I hope it's okay to mention, you're also going into document translations.
I'm working that way. I've had several meetings with Gabriel at Idiomatic. I have set up, just like I did with apostille, I have a little plan. When the call comes, I am still working on that website, trying to get noticed. And I feel like that's going to happen in the next. And that was a good delay because I needed to study. I need to feel comfortable. Like you mentioned, sometimes people want to do something, but they're a little bit hesitant to take that first one.
Mhm.
What I've learned so far, my first Rons, I've had 5 or 6 now. Oh, that's not hard. You just need to know how your platform works, right? You need to understand the laws. The same with apostille. It was pretty easy once you said, "Oh, I just take this. You sent me this, and take it to the Secretary of State. Now we're waiting to get the results." Once you've done it once, it becomes easy
Yeah.
in your mind.
Yes, and I do want to ask this too about the general public, because there will be a lot of people from the general public who watch this video and are deciding if they want to hire you or not. When it comes to the general notary services, are you going to hospitals? Do you service jails? Do you go to people's places of business? What is your business model when it comes to your local area in Reno?
Well, my mobile business model is basically take anything that comes. I have been to people's businesses. I've been to homes. I've been to assisted living. I've been to hospitals. I haven't been to jails. Our jail is a little bit difficult to get into, but I'm working on it. And and pretty much it's really kind of cool because you can when they call you, they need somebody for a document, and it's like you're giving them a solution. So it's pretty cool. So the general public and business.
Awesome. And now let me ask you, if you were, meeting somebody for the first time today, and they call you for a notarization, what is one thing that you would want them to know about you right up front, about you and your business? What would be the one thing that you would say about yourself or your business?
I think I would tell them that I am dedicated to timely, accurate signings, and that I'm there to help them complete their document accurately, not give legal advice, but make sure that the document is completed, and try to be compassionate, because a lot of times people are calling. I've had called people recently, lost someone in their family and they need some paperwork done. So you have to be sensitive to what's going on. So I let them know I'm compassionate and very dedicated to helping them.
And one thing I think anybody watching this video or replay, especially from your local area, is you mentioned one little word in there that's the most important: accurate. I think a lot of times people, when they're in a situation when they need a notary, I always say people need a notary yesterday. They never need one for next Tuesday. They need one either right now or 2 hours ago. And when it comes to that kind of pressure of I need to get this done, accuracy is really important. And I really want anybody that hires you to really pinpoint that word, that was one of the things that you said for yourself. This was not scripted. We didn't practice this. You said accuracy. And coming from a hiring manager who hires, 3,000, 5,000 notaries a month across the country as a signing service, when I hear that word accuracy being an important part of in a sense, a sales pitch or an elevator pitch of how to hire me, when I hear that word accuracy, it really means a lot. Because let's say that you go to a hospital and you're signing, healthcare directives, and then the time comes for those to be implemented, but they're not filled out correctly. That can pose problems for that person. If you're signing an estate plan and it's not completed properly, that can cause a problem. Just because you hire an attorney to draw up documents, when it comes to the finish line, getting across the finish line, it's all about accuracy. So I have a lot of admiration for you putting that is the one of the three things that you want people to know about you, and it is so important. So thank you so much for making that a part of your business. I just wanted to make sure to zero in on that if anybody was going to make the decision to hire you. Now, and we know other notaries will watch this as well. So you mentioned that you are married to an escrow admin. Outside of the escrow admin, because we all know that they can put in a good word for you and that sort of thing. Outside of being married to someone that's in that industry, how have you been able to kind of solidify yourself in the signing agent community with other companies?
Well, the first thing is you have to have that formula, that plan to get connected with them. And then I think the second is that I respond to every text that I get, whether I'm going to take it or not. I take the time to say, I can't do it. And I don't know if they track that, but if they do, I think that's a good thing. And then once I take an assignment, I'm really careful not to overbook so that I can give 100% of my time. So once again, it comes down to if you give them a timely, accurate loan package, following their instructions, that's really important. Everybody's got different instructions. And you give that back to them and they don't, it's not like they get back to you and go, you did a great job. They just call you again.
Right.
I have a number of signing agencies that I must be high on their priority list, because the moment I click yes in the text, I get the order.
Mm-hmm.
And so those, I have about 5 in my mind that when I see them, I always respond and I always try to take it. And then just provide great service. That's the key. And I think another thing they appreciate is I review documents either the day before or the hour before. And if I have questions, I get back to them. And it could be as simple as, do you want capacity in a signing line? Or it could be, it looks like there's a 3-day right of rescission missing. I think they appreciate the fact that you're looking for potential errors so that when you go to the signing, you're not calling from the table. That's helpful to call from the table, but it's not what I try to do.
Yeah,
and they generally get back. They get back to me, and they say thank you for asking questions.
now, no, that's actually wonderful. I love when notaries, we actually have the ability for them to put in questions on an order before they go to a signing, especially if they have the documents. Now in title and escrow, we always know that the documents can be trailing. Sometimes we have to print right before the signing or reprint as we get to the table. So it's not always possible to pre-review, but I love that you do that. And I love when notaries write us, and a lot of notaries say, I'm sorry, but I just want to clarify these things before I go to the signing. And we try to write back and say, don't be sorry. We really appreciate, you reaching out about this. There is no question too small or too large, because one little item could make a loan derail. And you mentioned something too about getting orders really quickly. And I don't know if you've been able to upload your certificate to signing order yet, because your new certificate is now a filter and signing order. But as a Notary to Pro graduate and Notary Star certification, uploading those into signing order definitely gives you preference on orders. And there are companies who really respect that you've taken so much education, and it really helps you get assigned to those orders. Same thing with signature closers. Starting on the 31st of January, we're starting to send them all of the certificate holders from Notary Stars over, and they get preference on signings. We just made a partnership with a large one, which we can't announce yet, but I think you may know who it is, but we're not announcing that just yet. But there are a lot of people like yourself going for more education, and it's starting to be rewarded from the perspective of, how do I trust this person with my job? It's not just trusting with documents, but when you're hired as a signing professional, you're taking the escrow officer, the realtor, the lender, everyone. You're the final product, when it comes to visiting the customer. And so you're that last form of communication. You can actually turn around, and I take a lot of pride in this, and I don't know if you feel this way, but coming from the service industry, I take a lot of pride in the fact that if there was something wrong with the transaction, you can walk in the door with a great experience and give them the best signing ever and negate everything that happened along the way. And sometimes that they really appreciate that too, when you bring that customer service. It's kind of like going into a restaurant, having to wait longer than you thought when you had reservations. You didn't get the table that you want, but then the server comes around and they give you this amazing experience, and you're like, I'm coming back here every day. And so you kind of forget those little things along the way. Do you ever have any of those experiences on the customer service side?
Well, a couple of times I've had to go out where the notary was there the day before and either didn't have a document or got something missigned, and they weren't able to go back quickly. And when I hear that from my signing party, I make it a priority to let the customer know, the signer know, I'm going to be there at your convenience as soon as possible. That really helps. I've gotten at least one review on Google regarding that exactly. The second thing is they really, although we know we have to be really careful with unauthorized practice of law, they really like the fact that you can help them understand the document when you can point out that your question is answered right here, and reread it to them. So they like that. I think they like the fact that I call 20 minutes before I arrive so they know I'm coming. I text when I've dropped their package at shipping. I think they really like that. I get positive response from that all the time.
I have to tell you what you're talking about. The best word to describe this is communication. You're communicating. And you are right. Coming from a hiring party, we have notaries, uh, automatic emails that say, hey, remind us. And we have some people who are like, this is a little annoying. It's micromanaging. But the fact that you implement it into your business is really important because different companies have different processes, different companies have different needs. Sometimes they need to know that the scans are done because they can start working with the lender ahead of time in order to close the file, or get the file prepared. Because if they're high volume, they need that time to go ahead. So the fact that you're communicating with people, I'm going to tell you that's going to be one of your biggest assets. You know, growing my company over the years, I take pride in over communication, and I've always decided, you know, like if they don't need it, there's no harm in it. But for those who do need it, it's there. So I have a lot of appreciation for over communication. Before we wrap up here, I do want to know, are you going into estate planning? Are you going into signing trust documents for estate planning?
It's on my list. I have started training um, with Laura Buer, and I've had about five estate packages over the last year,
Mhm.
and the first one was not smooth. I mean, it got done, but it was not smooth, and it's gotten better. And I'm, like anything, when you get comfortable. So yes, I would really like to be more involved with that, especially to the extent that it can be done um, remote online notary. But I feel like a lot of times, um, remote online notaries work especially well when somebody's technically knowledgeable. And sometimes that doesn't happen when you get into the senior environment. And
Mhm.
so in person is probably better. So yes, it's an area I'm looking at. If I could, um, create my goal income with online notarization and language translations, apostilles, and estate, I would, and I would get out of the business of printing lots of documents.
Yeah, we could save a whole rainforest with our jobs in a year. I mean, it's a lot of printing, and I have a lot of admiration for that. When it comes to customers, I think sometimes a little, of a certain generation might be a little afraid of technology. But as you move into that realm, and one of the things that I like to tell people is, you're from a background of service industry. I actually had a phone call before this where I talked to one of the largest lenders, and we're working on the way to make more documentation, make it easier for people of a certain age to get to those points where they can go through ID verification. Once you have the signer on an ID verified, the signing's pretty easy. I mean, it's just click and you can sign the documents. So for those of a younger generation watching this, you'll be a great candidate to help them through. But when it comes to servicing those, in the future, where remote online notarization is eventually going to take over how we do this particular position in all industries, documentation is going to be the most important key to helping our signers. Today, myself, I think I have 7 or 8 closings, all scheduled 30 minutes apart. And my instructions to the signers are like this long, and then with all the numbers they need to call if it's not going the right way, to help streamline those types of things. So when it comes to estate planning, I also think that that might be one of the things that revolve and stay in an area that doesn't actually go into remote, because to me, when I do estate planning, I don't think I've ever seen someone that's in a bad mood because they're setting up what they are looking to, pass along to their family, what they want to happen with all of their assets. It seems to be much more different than a loan signing. Like, I need to get this loan, we need to close, or I'm going to lose my rate lock in. There's a different type of meaning, and I hope that they do kind of stay in person. Usually, we don't print the documents when it's estate planning, so there's not a lot of printing going. Eventually, they probably will, but I do hope they stay in that arena because I kind of like estate planning signings. They're fun to me. I've had my favorite one ever is two families that were neighbors, and they had built this arch in between their houses, and they had decided to become godparents for both of their children. And one was a doctor, one was a dentist, and The wives had big careers as well, and we all met, and they were all having, a glass of wine while we went over the documents, and it was two estate plans, each family, and they were both signing over things to each other. Much probably one of the most largest ones I've ever done. But it was a beautiful experience, and I've had lots of little experiences like that as well, but it's much different than a loan signing. And that's one of the things as a notary that I think you'll enjoy over the years is you get to know people in your local area. You get to be a part of their lives. And I've gone to the grocery store on many occasions, and it's kind of like, you were my notary. And I love that feeling that I'm in a place where I've kind of really been a part of my community. So as you grow your career in Reno, I hope you experience, going to the grocery store and someone coming up and being like, "Hey, you were my notary." And when you give them a great experience, they remember you. It's a very memorable moment because you don't do it often.
Right, right. And I agree with you. The feeling when you're at a estate planning signing is almost a sense of relief because so many people have put it off for years and years and years, and they finally get to it. They're like taking a deep breath and going, "Whew, I got this done." And it is rewarding.
So I've got to wrap up this interview, and I will tell you, just from working with you personally on this one, working with you in class, working with knowing that you've done good for our team, I would tell anyone out there to hire you. But I do have to ask you one last question that I think is probably the most important. I see your star lit up in the background there, which is our Notary Star lamps that we kind of, I won't say stole from Amazon, but borrowed so that everyone can have a lit up star on the meetings. But I want to ask you, why do you come back so much? You are literally a part of almost every class that I can think of on Monday nights, Thursdays. You go to Beth's classes. I see you in other training events when I go to other trainers. Why? Why? I mean, don't you know it all by now?
Well, you certainly don't know it all. I worked really hard to get the original 150 hours of training that you have available that is invaluable. Even when taking tests and certifications, all that stuff just really helped me get through that. But my approach to this is, if you can dream it, you can write it down and get a goal. If you can find the formula to do it, and that's one thing you find on Notary Stars, how to do it is there over and over again. And then the real trick is doing the reps, actually doing the work. And I think I've in the past, and a lot of people get up to that point and they don't do the reps and nothing happens. And I find that motivation comes from you and your trainers to get in there and to do the reps, because once you start doing the work and you start to achieve your goals, and there's just an incredible amount of positive feedback in your trainers and in Notary Stars and the other trainers that you bring in from the outside. It's very positive. So the reason, I like the idea, if you think you're out there on your own, trying to figure it out, it takes time. If you're connected to Notary Stars, and then I've got subgroups of Notary Stars members that I communicate with. And, if I've got a quick question about a Ron signing, I can shoot a text to somebody and I get responses. So it's been great helping me connect to the notary industry.
Mr. Tim, first of all, I have to say thank you so much for your time today. And thank you so much for your thirst for education and understanding that you're never going to know everything. That's a big thing in our industry, is you're always going to learn something new. I appreciate that, but most importantly, I'm so proud of you for passing our test. I know it wasn't easy. We designed it that way. With 150 hours of training, we had to take all of that into one finite point, and you were one of the first. to pass that test. Out of 7 years in business, we finally decided to do a certification. We're always going to be continuing education for people like yourself. Always going to offer that kind of support, but you being one of the first, it's kind of like amazing to me. I've been with you. I know that you've been a member for at least over a year now. I mean,
Yeah, I've been a member since 24.
yeah, it's been a while, and you always bring brilliant questions to class. You never waste time. And when it comes to support, I will say this about you too. Support is a two-way street, and you have also given me support as a human being outside of being an instructor. That's not for this video, but we have built a community, and I don't mean we at Notary Stars. You are a part of that community. I consider you as one of the bricks in the wall that help build this community. 7 years seems like a long time. There's been a lot of notaries come and go. Some open shop, close shop, some move on to other things, or grow their businesses and get so busy that they can't be there every day, and that's great. But I definitely consider you another strong brick in the wall here at the community because you're giving back what you're taking. You said you can reach out to people, but I know I just reached out to you for help and you knew. And this order, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Case in point, I didn't know something about how it works in Nevada to get a marriage certificate apostilled. I called the Secretary of State, you called the county clerk, and we met in the middle. And I didn't ask you to do that. I was willing to go do that research. You immediately said, I'm going to call them while you're calling them. And we met in the middle, and we got a very happy client on our hands right now. So you are giving back what you're taking out. And that is the true key to success in my mind, is to keep it going full circle. So thank you so much for not only passing the test, but being a true Notary Star.
I appreciate your kind words, and I'll continue to see you online because it's not only do you learn a lot, it really is a lot of fun most of the time.
Hi, friends.
Hola, amigos.
Are you ready to take your notary skills and business to the next level?
We can start from the beginning with setting up your notary business.
Or we can just jump right into perfecting your loan signing agent skills with over 30 different loan products.
And when you're ready to take on online notary,
We got you covered.
We can teach you how to market your notary business locally and nationally.
We're here for you every day, whether it be in live classes
Or on our notary support line.
our goal is your success.
And if you cannot make it to our live classes or webinars, don't worry.
We record everything so it fits in your schedule.
Join us.
Join the family.
Join the movement.
Expand your horizons.
Become a Notary Star.